Gather round, Muses. Tonight we will go on an adventure to the mountains of Appalachia. We're going to start out with the Bell Witch. Between 1817 and 1821, on the banks of Tennessee's Red River, the Bell family endured scratching, poltergeist knocks, and whispered taunts from an unseen spirit calling herself Kate, giving rise to America's most notorious haunting legend. And then on to the land between the lakes, straddling the Tennessee and Cumberland rivers. Kentucky's land between the lakes conceals ancient indigenous burial grounds and overgrown pioneer plots, where moss-draped headstones stand vigil over secrets whispered through the pines. Our bizarre burials segment, Appalachian death and burial traditions. In Appalachia's misty hollers, death always felt close. Church bells tolled once for every year of life. Neighbors kept all-night vigils beside cooling boards at home parlors, and hilltop graves were carefully oriented eastward to meet the rising sun. Our cryptid quickie, the Dogman of Kentucky. Local lore tells of a 7-foot-tall, half-human, half-canine creature haunting Kentucky's backroads. Its eerie howl and glowing eyes fueled reports that the Dogman still prowls these forested hollers. Our missing moment, the disappearance of Heather Teague. On August 26, 1995, 23-year-old Heather Teague vanished from Newburgh Beach, Kentucky, as a telescope-wielding witness watched a wild-haired man drag her into the woods. A single moment that has haunted her family and stymied investigators for nearly 3 decades. Grab a rocking chair on the porch, pour yourself some sweet tea, and settle in. Let's rock. Hey y'all, how's everybody today? Hope all is well. How was Amy?
Amy is annoyed with technology, and Amy is tired.
Yep.
How is Bambi?
Same. Still not feeling awesome, but pushing
Did you go back to the doctor?
No.
Oh, well, that seems like a great idea. You should just keep on not.
I know, right?
Oh,
I'm pretty good at it.
to get worse.
I
know, that's me. I don't want to go to the doctor if I don't have to go.
Yeah. All right, so we have a pretty big episode. There's a lot going on in this one. We are going full-on Appalachian today.
Yay!
These are all a little bit longer than usual, so bear with us on those. But they're a lot more detailed, and there's a lot more information than we usually do. So
yes,
let's get to it. I'm starting out with the Bell Witch.
I'm excited to hear.
As soon as you said that you were wanting to do the place that you're doing, I was like,
yes,
close. And it's like right on the line. So I was like, I know what I'm doing. And then I went back and forth for days about whether or not to do that or something else. And I was like, no, I'm going back to that. So this is the story of Bell Witch. In the early 1800s, John Bell and his family settled on what is now the Tennessee-Kentucky line. John, his wife Lucy, and their children built a modest farm 6 miles southeast of today's Adams Station. Their nearest neighbor was Kate Batts, an elderly widow reputed for her meanness. When Bell purchased the parcel of land from Batts, she accused him of cheating her even after the sale was legal. On her deathbed, she vowed, "I will come back and haunt John Bell and all his kith and kin to their graves." The very next evening, eerie raps and the sound of chains rattling echoed through the Bell household, marking Kate's promise fulfilled. The first manifestations. At first, the phenomena were mild. Knocking on doors, unexplained footsteps in empty rooms, and soft whispering at the edge of hearing. Then the entities shifted from benign to malicious. As Mary Bell later recalled, ordinary tasks became perilous chores. Sugar would vanish from the bowl, a fresh pail of milk would slosh across the floor, the quilts would be yanked off the beds without warning.
Oh, that's not cool.
All the while, a disembodied laughter rang through the cabin, delighting in the family's terror.
Like laughter or cackle?
Probably more of a cackle, I would imagine.
Oh,
I feel like she's more of a cackler,
yeah.
wiggler. So Kate revealed, although invisible to the eye, the spirit spoke and sometimes shook hands with those bold enough to sit by the hearth at night. Visitors, historians note, claimed to feel a cold grip on their fingers as an unseen presence pressed into theirs. To torment young Elizabeth Bell, the witch sang hymns in a warped parody of worship, cursed like a sailor when challenged, and foretold events no one could have known.
I don't like it.
According to Pat Fitzhugh's exhaustive account, from the image of the lifeless body hanging from a tree to a relentless torture of a rural Tennessee family, the all-powerful Kate was the personification of evil. She tortured children, sang hymns, cursed like a sailor, and predicted the future. The escalation and the prophecy. By 1817, the Bell Witch had a clear agenda: wreck Elizabeth's romance and kill John Bell. Elizabeth's sweetheart fled town after relentless taunts. Then Kate issued her deadliest vow: John Bell would die by her hand. Neighbors watched as Bell's health unexpectedly declined in late 1820. On December 20th, at age 74, he succumbed to a wasting illness, exactly as Kate had predicted. The contemporary reactions. Word spread quickly through neighboring counties. Farmers, merchants, and even local preachers made the pilgrimage to the Bell's cabin. Some arrived armed, hoping to confront a hoax. Others came holding Bibles, fearing demonic forces. Almost all left convinced something beyond human explanation had taken root on that tiny Tennessee homestead.
Wow.
Yeah. Franklin County newspapers ran skeptical editorials, yet no one could offer a natural explanation for the entity's voice. Pig-like grunts and its uncanny ability to mimic family members' voices late at night. The Bell Witch in print. Yeah, no, I don't like that. That's too close to flesh pedestrians for me.
Yeah, no, thank you.
The Bell Witch in print. The first comprehensive narrative appeared in 1894, penned by Martin Van Buren Ingram. Ingram claimed to have interviewed direct descendants and collected affidavits from living witnesses. His volume became the standard reference until Pat Fitzhugh's 2000 release, The Bell Witch, The Full Account, which expanded on Ingram's research with newly discovered letters, land records, and site photographs. An excerpt from the 1939 WPA Guide. A shorter retelling appears in the federal government's 1939 Tennessee Guidebook. Mrs. Kate Fatts, a neighbor who had a reputation for meanness, on her deathbed swore that she would come back and haunt John Bell and all his kith and kin to their graves. Sure enough, tradition holds that he was tormented until his demise. Physical evidence and the aftermath. Today, the original Bell cabin no longer stands, but the site known as the Bell Witch Cave draws paranormal investigators. Visitors attest to sudden cold spots, fleeting shadows on forest paths, and faint whispering carried on the wind. Historic maps pinpoint the farmhouse's footsteps near Red River, where a modest cemetery holds John and Lucy Bell's graves. Modern sensors have recorded unexplained electromagnetic fluctuations inside of the cave, though skeptics attribute them to underground water currents. There's been a lot of paranormal investigations that have gone on. And their graves are in a very strange place. I'll post pictures and stuff. I do have all of that already. So why does this story endure time as it has? Because it's been such a long time and it's still being talked about all the time. The Bell Witch story endures for its mix of documented records, firsthand testimony, and a chilling personal vendetta. Unlike many hauntings confined to spectral apparitions, Kate engaged in prolonged dialogue, made verifiable prophecies, and left contemporaneous newspaper clippings as proof of her existence. Each retelling layers new interpretations, religious allegory, psychological stress from frontier life, and an elaborate hoax. Yet the tale's staying power lies in that one simple truth. The phenomenon defied every rational explanation available at the time.
I mean, I'm so glad that they documented all of this.
See, me too, because we don't get that a lot. And that's something we've had
No.
out with a lot of these things that are lost in time. People don't document this stuff. So it's like most of it becomes a lore or a legend.
Right.
Even if it's not. I mean, there's so many of them that most of us that believe in all the things know that it's not just lore and legend. So,
right.
Now, this is the interesting stuff because there is a presidential connection to Andrew Jackson. The presidential connection, Andrew Jackson and the Bell Witch. In the spring of 1819, General Andrew Jackson, a national hero after the Battle of New Orleans, the owner of the nearby Hermitage estate, assembled a small party of soldiers to set out from Nashville to investigate the Bell Witch. So they even had like a full-on military.
They had a witch hunt.
Go out there. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Their wagon, laden with a tent and provisions, creaked into Robertson County, roughly 40 miles from Jackson's home. As the men joked about doing up the witch if it displayed any of the pranks they'd heard reported. So the stuck wagon incident. According to local tradition, when Jackson's party neared the Bell property, their wagon wheel sank inexplicably into roadside mud. No amount of coaxing, whipping, or brute force could free the horses or wheels. Frustrated and unnerved by the strange resistance, Jackson famously ordered his men to cut the tent free and retreat. Legend says he cursed the spirit and swore never to return to the Bell homestead.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But
I mean for like a whole military brigade was, Jackson at its front.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that the wagon wheel got stuck in mud,
right,
that's going to be a given if there's mud, but no coaxing it out. Hello.
Yeah, they couldn't get it free. Yeah.
It's that quicksand we were also afraid of when we were younger.
Yeah, probably. It took me 46 years. The aftermath and folkloric legacy. No written dispatch from Jackson survives to confirm the episode, and his aides' subsequent silence only fueled speculation. Over the decades, historians have alternately dismissed the tale as frontier bravado and embraced it as a genuine brush with the uncanny. Whether Jackson's visit was a daring ghost hunt or a spirited anecdote passed down by local storytellers, it cemented the Bell Witch legend in the national imagination and gave future presidents a ghost story to envy.
Nice.
Andrew Jackson's missing manuscript. Despite a richly detailed folklore linking Andrew Jackson to the Bell Witch, no letter, journal entry, speech, or dispatch penned by Jackson himself mentions the haunting.
Oh, that sucks.
I know. But, I've read so much about his connection to it.
Mm-hmm.
Even further details, different things that happened with the whole trip and all that. And it's it came from somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's just making that up?
Right.
So why nothing exists? Jackson's personal papers, now housed at the Hermitage and the Library of Congress, contain extensive military correspondence, political memos, and private letters from 1819 to 1825.
Wow.
Yet no reference to Kate Batts or the Bell Witch has ever been located. Early biographers and editors of Jackson's papers made no note of a supernatural encounter, suggesting it never passed through official channels. Not saying they don't exist or didn't.
Just these are not properly documented, maybe.
Right. Possibly. The tale survives solely through oral tradition, secondhand recollections, and 19th century retellings, most notably Martin Ingram's 1894 volume, which relies on family lore rather than presidential archives. The Jackson legend, folklore versus fact. Number 1, stuck wagon anecdote. Legend holds that Jackson's cart wheels bogged down just outside the Bell property, and that he cursed the spirit before fleeing. No contemporary newspaper account from 1819 corroborates the incident. Number 2.
Well, maybe that wasn't newsworthy. A wagon got its wheels stuck in mud. Holy, right. 1819.
That's my thought. Y'all weren't that in 1819.
Right?
to where
I don't know. That could have been. Have you heard some of the crap they tell on the news these days?
That's
could have been worse back then.
It very well could have. Retrospective storytelling. Local storytellers in the 1830s and 40s began weaving Jackson into the narrative, enhancing the tale's prestige. That is a possibility.
This happened, it just wasn't to Andrew Jackson?
Right. See, that's what I was kind of wondering. By the time WPA guidebooks and tourist brochures mentioned the episode in the 1930s, it was fully cemented as lore, still without a shred of Jackson's own testimony. Number 3, historians' consensus. Modern scholars of Jackson's life regard the Bell Witch visit as an apocryphal anecdote, illustrating how frontier legends can attach themselves to larger-than-life figures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unless a new document emerges, which is probably not likely.
I feel like
Jackson's written record remains a void. Right.
What are the odds that this did happen to somebody named Andrew Jackson? Just not the Andrew Jackson of presidential things.
Right. And people are like, you know what? It's not that far from where he lived, so let's just roll with that.
Right.
Though the legend places a U.S. president squarely in the path of America's greatest ghost story, Jackson himself left no written footprint on the Bell Witch case, leaving us to rely on the voices of those who came after. So in conclusion, modern investigations, 21st century evidence, the Bell Witch Cave remains a magnet for paranormal teams and thrill seekers alike. Guided ghost tours like those run by Nashville Ghosts routinely report guests experiencing sudden cold spots, unexplained whispers brushing past their ears, and inexplicable urges to replay EVP, which is electronic voice phenomenon, for those who don't know, recordings captured on site. The historic Bell Witch Cave, Incorporated, now preserves artifacts from the original Bell Cabin, including the chimney stone and the iron kettle, and hosts real-time investigations by groups such as Black Wolf Paranormal, armed with EMF detectors, thermal imaging cameras, and digital audio recorders. These investigators claim to document sharp spikes in electromagnetic readings without nearby power sources, fleeting thermal anomalies around collapsed rock walls, faint, disembodied voices that seem to respond when prompted. Such phenomena are heralded by believers as Kate Bat's lingering energy. Skeptics counter the expectation natural airflow through caves, fissures, and an electrical interference from modern equipment can all produce similar readings. They argue that the human mind's tendency to pattern match in low-light conditions may turn rustling leaves or passing cars into paranormal disturbances, which is true in some situations. Whether one credits ghost hunting lore or looks for rational explanations, the Bell Witch Cave exemplifies how a centuries-old legend adapts to contemporary technology. Today, the hunt for spectral evidence keeps the story alive, ensures that every chill in the Tennessee night might just be Kate Batts checking in. So what do you think, Muses? Do you believe that she's still there, or was there at all? And do you believe that Andrew Jackson, the actual Andrew Jackson, was involved in this whole thing? What do you think?
I imagine a whole, town, or can you imagine all those people getting together and just being like, hey, we're just going to cook up this big ruse to amuse people?
Yeah, that's my thought, because this was everywhere. I mean, counties.
Yes. So I can't fathom that
it didn't happen.
But then again, there's an entire town that covered up a murder because a guy was such an arse that they were just excited to have the man go. So
right. And I mean, in the 1800s, nothing's really that crazy to think that they would do that.
I mean, let's think about the witch trials. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's that.
It could have all been made up. I mean, this particular story, there definitely were witch trials where just some people just be dying.
Right.
It's a lot to think that it's just a lot. I don't know. I don't know what I think, Abby.
I don't either. I personally think that it's very, very possible. There's too much, even nowadays, that they have picked up on there.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like also generally, like if it's a complete made up story, there's usually nothing really to, I guess, back it up, especially this many years later. And like their graves and all are still right there. And, you know, and it's all kind of, there's too many little things that kind of make it real, I guess, that something had to have happened.
Right.
But like over the years, with that much stuff on that same property and in the same area, that there's a museum with pieces of things and all that stuff. I think it's just so much stuff to have made it through that many years without it being something. But yeah,
something's definitely going on there. If you remember in our last episode, I talked about having gone to Kentucky to visit some friends for a benefit ride and was talking to Shrek and Fiona, aka Jacob and Joni Seaton. They gave me some ideas for cases and whatnot to do in their area. So my segments are thanks to Shrek and Fiona. Land Between the Lakes, or the LBL, is a sprawling 171,280 acre national recreation area straddling western Kentucky and Tennessee. That's huge. It occupies the peninsula between two Tennessee Valley Authority created reservoirs, Kentucky Lake on the Tennessee River and Lake Barkley, the Cumberland River, making it one of the largest inland peninsulas in the United States.
Oh.
It spans Lyon and Trigg counties. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't either. I had never even heard of this before, but I heard of something else to do with it, which I will talk about in a different segment because it's a twofer. It spans Lyon and Trigg counties in Kentucky and Stewart County in Tennessee. It sits atop a low ridge that once simply separated two rivers. After the TVA impounded Cumberland and Tennessee rivers, it became a true peninsula with hundreds of miles of shoreline and a network of lakeside coves, forests, and open fields. This unique geography supports diverse habitats and offers water access to almost everywhere you turn. The LBL attracts roughly 2 million visitors annually, drawn by its combination of natural beauty, wildlife, history, and abundant outdoor activities. Sorry for the history lesson. It's going to continue just for a hot minute.
We need it. Oh.
Well, not so much history. It feels like I'm giving you a commercial, though, because, like, I kind of want to, draw a picture of what's going on in this area. Yeah, I'm going to be a tour guide.
You are a guide, so that works.
That's right. Visitors to the LBL can choose from a wide variety of outdoor adventures, educational experiences, and historical attractions tailored to every interest. These activities include water-based activities, trail and land adventures, and an ATV area. I want to highlight the wildlife and nature programs just because I think these sound super fun.
Oh.
There's a drive-through elk and bison prairie showcasing free-roaming herds. Hello.
Oh, I want to do that.
Yes, please. Can I pet those?
Right? Can I pet the elk?
Oh. Pet that elk. That's lovely. Can I ride that elk?
I might ride it. I don't know about just walking over and petting one. That would scare the bejesus out of me. Those things are huge.
Don't they make a honking sound that's horrendous too? Is that elk? Oh boy.
Yeah.
Woodlands Nature Station with live animal exhibits, raptor flights, and guided nature walks. Yes, please.
Uh-huh.
Seasonal birding hotspots along the peninsula for migratory and nesting species. Ranger-led programs on fire ecology, native plant restoration, and nocturnal wildlife. Absolutely.
Yes.
Golden Pond Planetarium featuring astronomy shows, laser light presentations, and mythological storytelling. Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Archaeological tours of historic cemeteries. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
And interpretive talks on the peninsula's displaced communities, which that's sad, but I want to hear their stories as they should be told.
Yeah.
Yes. Special events such as Pioneer Days, Native American Heritage Festivals, and stargazing nights. And you can camp just about any way you like, from primitive camping to glamping. There are yurts. There's just everything, it seems like there.
Awesome.
It's huge.
Right. Wow.
But that's all well and good and sounds like lots of fun, but this isn't that kind of podcast, so prepare yourselves. It's about to get dark.
Oh, thanks, if that's what you're looking for.
Displacement of pre-LBL communities. The creation of Kentucky Lake and Lake Barkley in the early 1940s under the Tennessee Valley Authority required evacuation and relocation of several river towns and rural homesteads. Residents of Dover, New Johnsonville, Birmingham, Golden Pond, Model, unless that's Model, I'm not sure, Rowena, and surrounding farms received condemnation notices and were given only months to sell property, pack possessions, and find new homes. Compensation amounts often fell short of rebuilding costs, leaving many families resentful and financially strained. Churches, schools, and businesses shut their doors as entire communities were uprooted and dispersed across Tennessee and Kentucky. Oral histories recall neighbors loading flatboats with household goods and livestock, then watching familiar landmarks sink beneath the rising waters. Can you imagine? Like, if you had lived there your whole life and you had built your life there and you just had to watch it flood.
That's so crazy. And it's really wild because there's a lot more places like that than you would like to think.
Oh, yeah. Natural disaster would be one thing, but this is, essentially this is like a man-made disaster.
Yeah. I mean, they do it for like dams and stuff too, which is like, I don't know. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah. Many family burial plots sat on low riverbanks, slated to become lake beds. In a rushed effort, relatives exhumed and reinterred thousands of remains, but inconsistent record keeping left dozens of headstones and graves behind. In Birmingham Point, dozens of moss-clad markers remain just below the winter pool line of Kentucky Lake, their inscriptions fading under silt. Can you imagine? That feels creepy. I hate it. In New Johnsonville Cemetery, sections of old fencing and broken stones emerge sporadically as water levels drop, marking unrecorded graves. I hate that they're unrecorded.
Yeah, me too.
At Whiteside Bend and Dover sites, private family plots vanished entirely with no TVA or county records indicating their relocation. Kayakers and anglers report floating lantern-like orbs above these sunken grounds and faint sobbing on foggy mornings. Nope. Descendants lament that some loved ones' resting place were never formally documented, creating geological dead ends and fueling local ghost lore. Speaking of ghost lore, major hauntings of LBL. Number 1 is the Phantom Trucker of the Trace.
I already don't know how I feel about this one.
Yeah. On U.S. routes 68 to 80 and the Trace Corridor, a lone set of headlights appears behind drivers, matching speed and distance for miles. The lights vanish the moment vehicles cross timber bridges or crest ridges, often accompanied by sudden chill and snapping twigs. Drivers report a low diesel rumble followed by silence and an urge to accelerate away from the ghostly rig. Number 2 is the Drowned Cemetery at Birmingham Point. When Kentucky Lake falls to its winter pool, moss-clad headstones emerge just below the surface, and with them the sound of soft weeping. Kayakers report seeing flickering orbs drifting over the sunken plots, as if lanterns held by mourners wading through the shallows. Some say the water carries faint prayer-like murmurs when the dawn mist lifts. Gross.
No.
Yeah. As an archival note, families moved many markers uphill in the 1940s, but dozens remain submerged and undocumented.
Of course.
Number 3, Civil War sentinels near Fort Henry shoreline. Along the old riverbank where Fort Henry once stood, visitors hear distant drumbeats and the crack of musket fire at first light. Hikers on Forest Road 224 have glimpsed blue and gray-coated forms marching in formation between the trees, only to dissolve into shafts of sun. A few have felt an unseen hand tapping their shoulder before a spectral soldier vanishes into the underbrush. Nope.
No, thank you.
You're going to love this one. And this could possibly be a deep dive at some point. Number 4, Vampire Hotel of Roderick Farrell. Yeah. An abandoned hunting lodge in the recreation area of the Trace. Campers report whispering voices, metallic blood scent. That's really gross. And and a gaunt figure staring from broken windows. Voices intensify at dusk. Tents pitched nearby hear footsteps on the lodge's creaking floorboards. The folklore origin of this, Farrell claimed supernatural longevity and was linked by rumor to an unsolved murder of a visiting couple. According to local legend, the couple whom Roderick Farrell allegedly lured to his hunting lodge and murdered were Jonathan and Margaret Caldwell, a well-to-do pair traveling through the region in the early 1900s. Jonathan Caldwell was said to be a hardware merchant from Paducah, and his wife Margaret accompanied him on what was meant to be a brief hunting trip with Farrell. After one evening's feast, neighbors reported seeing Margaret Caldwell stumble from the lodge at dawn, her dress stained and torn. Jonathan was never seen again. When authorities finally investigated, they found Margaret delirious on the lakeshore. She died en route to Dover of unknown hemorrhage inside the lodge. And hemorrhage is in quotation marks.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. Unknown hemorrhage. Unknown blunt force trauma, perhaps?
Right.
Inside the lodge, the floorboards were soaked in blood, and a crudely carved wooden cross lay beside broken furniture. I would be interested in hearing more about that, perhaps. Number 5. Lanterns of the Lost on Paris Landing Road, which is a wooded stretch near Paris Landing boat ramp. People report floating lanterns that guide visitors in circles through the hollow. Lights bob above old fence lines, then vanish when approached. Hikers find themselves back at the starting point. And this is attributed to runaway slaves using lanterns to navigate north, and their spirits now bound by unfinished journeys. Another chilling tale from the LBL is that of the Beast of LBL, or Dogman.
So I'm still stuck on the smell of blood situation.
Yeah. That's not something you hear people talk about much.
That's the thing that's stuck with me, because smells are like a big thing. Like, smell cigars, or you can smell perfumes. That's new for me.
Yeah. The metallic scent of blood. So, it smells like copper pennies.
Yeah. That would wig me out like a big bunch. I don't know how I feel about that one. That seems like a little much for me. For my bizarre burials segment today, I'm going to cover some not really bizarre to us, but some different than some may know, as far as customs and traditions and superstitions and things we Appalachian folk may or may not practice, or at least did. So this is going to be a little longer than usual, because there's a lot. We have a lot of cool things to go over. Old Appalachian funerary traditions, community notification, and gatherings. In many isolated mountain settlements, word of death spread through church bells, tolling once for each year of the deceased's life. Black-edged envelopes delivered to distant relatives, and funeral notices posted on store or church window. Women rushed in to wash the body, stitched the shroud, and cleaned the family home, while men constructed a makeshift viewing board in the parlor. Food, drink, flowers, and healing herbs were prepared by the community to sustain mourners through the night. At the moment of death, the household clock was stopped, and all mirrors were turned face down to prevent the soul from becoming trapped or lured back by its reflection.
Yes. Let's talk about those black-edged envelopes, because I love that.
I know. And did you get a visual on that when I said it? Because I did. When I read that, I was like, I can see that. Like, I envision exactly what that looks like. I have not looked them up yet. Protective rituals and rites. Appalachians often believed the soul remained bound to the body for a full 24 hours, so they practiced seining, a Scottish blessing meant to shield the spirit from evil. Silver coins were placed over the deceased's open eyes, both to gently coax the lids closed and to symbolize humility before God, as copper pennies risked turning the skin green. To maintain a lifelike pallor, A cloth dampened with soda water was laid over the face until the funeral procession marched off. Wakes, hymns, and ritual storytelling. The parlor vigil doubled as a communal wake where neighbors gathered around the cooling board, often an old door or plank draped in cloth, to share reminiscences and local lore. A lead singer would intone the first line of a hymn, and the assembled mourners would echo each verse, forging an impromptu spiritual chorus known as light hymns. Visitors sometimes left personal tokens in the coffin or touched the departed's hands, seeking healing, blessings, or the removal of warts. Women openly wept beside the body, while men stood guard in the room's corners, all united in a tapestry of song, story, and sorrow. Casket craftsmanship and homestead burials. With few funeral homes in reach, families turned to the local carpenter to build a bespoke casket. Pine, poplar, oak, or chestnut boards measured to the occupant's dimensions, often taken long before death. Some artisans even fashioned glass-top lids for viewing, though most boxes remained simple, tightly fitted rectangular coffins. Morning prayers led by the minister in the back of the parlor preceded the homestead burial, a practice that endured well into the mid-20th century. Family plots marked the modest wooden or stone markers dotted the mountainside, each grave a testament to local craftsmanship and communal care. Bizarre Appalachian death rituals and superstitions you may have never heard of. Telling the bees. When a beekeeper died, the widow was expected to address the hive, politely informing the bees of their caretaker's death or risk the entire colony abandoning the hive.
Well, that makes total sense.
It does.
Person had a dog and they passed away, you would inform the dog thusly.
Right. The mirror veils. All mirrors in the house had to be covered after a death to prevent the departed spirit from becoming trapped or lured into the reflective surfaces. Either they turn around or they would cover them with some sort of fabric. Frozen time. Household clocks were stopped or covered at the moment of death, halting time as a mark of respect and to keep the spirit from becoming disoriented. They would just stop all the clocks at that time in the house. It had to be the whole house too. It could not just be one.
Right.
Ominous falling frames. If a picture fell from the wall and shattered, it was interpreted as a forewarning of death, either the individual depicted or within the community at large. Pregnant women and corpses. Expectant mothers were strictly barred from viewing the deceased. Folklore held that seeing a corpse would mark the unborn child with ill fortune or physical blemishes. I remember hearing that one years ago.
What is it?
Appalachian, the pregnant women and corpses.
Oh, I don't think I'd heard that one.
Appalachian corpse cakes are part of a little-known funerary tradition rooted in the death customs of central Appalachia. While not widely documented, the term refers to a ritualistic food offering associated with mourning and death vigils, what locals called sitting up with the dead. Death vigil and food rituals. This will tell a little more about that. During these vigils, family and community members would gather to keep watch over the body before burial. Food played a central role, not just for sustenance, but as a symbolic gesture. Cakes, breads, and other baked goods were often brought by neighbors to support the grieving family. In some cases, these offerings were left in a room with the corpse, either as part of a spiritual rite or to honor the dead. Corpse cakes as a symbolic offering. The term corpse cake may have evolved from older European traditions where bread or cakes were baked and placed on or near the body to absorb the essence of the deceased. In some cultures, mourners would eat these cakes as a way of communing with the dead or transferring blessing. While Appalachia doesn't appear to have practiced this exact ritual, echoes of it may have survived in the symbolic use of food during death rites. Given Appalachia's rich blend of Scots, Irish, Native American, and African American traditions, it's likely that corpse cakes, if they existed in name, were part of a broader tapestry of death lore. The region is steeped in superstitions, from covering mirrors to stopping clocks at the moment of death to laying coins on the eyes of the deceased. Corpse cake may have been one more way to ritualize the tradition between life and death. And then this is one of my favorites. And the corpse cakes, I kind of did an extension of and made that a little more in detail because I hadn't heard of that part of it. And then grave quilts is my other one. And that's actually one of my favorite traditions.
Okay.
Grave quilts. They are also called coffin quilts or graveyard quilts. And they are hauntingly beautiful traditions from Appalachian death culture, blending textile art with mourning ritual. These quilts weren't just decorative, they were symbolic maps of family immortality. The design and symbolism. The quilt typically featured a large central square known as the graveyard. Around the edges, small coffin-shaped fabric pieces were embroidered with the names of living family members. When someone died, their coffin piece was moved from the edge and sewn into the central graveyard square.
Love
Yes. I know, me too. The function and ritual. Some grave quilts were used to drape the coffin during a funeral or cover the body during viewing. Others were kept as memorial objects, revisited each time a family member passed away. Colors were often somber grays, blacks, browns, and patterns varied, but the emotional weight was consistent, a tactile reminder of mortality and kinship. The cultural resonance. The tradition echoes Appalachian values of remembrance, community, and storytelling, much like sitting up with the dead or tolling church bells to mark each year of life. Grave quilts turned grief into craft. They were stitched with love, loss, and the quiet knowledge that one day every name would find its place in the center together.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it? That's always been one of my favorites. And I can remember my grandmother had one, but I don't think that it went as far as like her generation and onward to mine. I think that it was from like her mother and the past generations, because I could remember it was in my grandma's attic, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was either hung up on a wall in the attic, which was like a bedroom. It was either hung on the wall or it was folded or draped over something up there. But I can remember when I was little seeing one.
I'm sad that you don't have it.
I'm very, very sad that I don't have it. Somebody may. I would assume that somebody does. Some of the other traditions that don't really go along with those, and some other forewarnings and things. The howling dogs. A dog's mournful howls in the night heralded a death in the family or community, an oral omen taken extremely seriously among mountain folk. Heard dogs howling in the middle of the night. Someone
has passed.
Yeah. Owls' hoots. The hoot of an owl, especially 3 rapid calls, was synonymous with impending death, a spectral alarm echoing across holler and ridge alike. I haven't heard the owl one either. That one's new for me.
There are lots of places where owls are a really bad omen.
Yeah. Black hound's shadow. Spotting a solitary black hound trailing behind you on a moonless night was said to foreshadow one's own demise. That's all it would really take for me to demise, because I have myself a good heart attack.
I'd probably demise my pants.
Definitely. Ghostly precautions. Stilled rocking chairs. A rocking chair that came to rest of its own accord was deemed cursed, signaling that a spirit had taken a seat and might linger unnaturally.
So when you get up from your rocking chair, you should stop it yourself, not let it stop on its own.
That makes sense. Hungry birds. A lone bird flying through a home, whether it be a sparrow, crow, or bat, served as a silent messenger announcing a death on the horizon. We used to have bats fly through our house all of the time in one of our houses when I was little. If a crow came through the house, I would be very excited. Bats don't bother me.
I don't want anything swooping at me. We do all know that I love bats. Like, they're just, I'm sorry, they're cute.
Well, yeah.
I don't mind a snake, but I don't want to be startled by one.
Right.
Spiders can go straight to hell.
I don't want anything to do with those whatsoever.
Yeah, right.
So I guess be on the lookout for signs. So there you have some of our traditions and such. Do you remember hearing any of these when you were younger?
Legend describes the dogman as a large bipedal hybrid, part human, part canine, with pronounced muzzle, pointed ears, and an unusual agility that sets it apart from the stockier ape-like Bigfoot. Witnesses often note its slender build and, in rare cases, glimpses of pinkish skin underneath sparse fur. What's that?
Sounds mangy.
Yeah, a little bit. It stands between 6 and 8 feet tall. It has a slender, upright posture with human-like torso and hips, pronounced canine muzzle and pointed ears, sparse fur revealing pinkish or hairless skin in patches, glowing eyes reported as blue, amber, or red. There was something else that kept getting different colored eyes that I talked about. I don't remember which cryptid it was. Was it sheep squatch?
I think so.
Yeah, no one ever gets the same eyes.
Yeah.
Exceptional agility, swift, silent movement, and powerful leaps. Some have even reported a regular old black dog that makes its presence known but doesn't acknowledge you if you call for it, and then it's just gone. The earliest known report of a dogman dates back to 1887 in Wexford County, Michigan, when 2 lumberjacks encountered what they described as a 7-foot-tall upright creature with a dog's head, human-like torso, glowing blue or amber eyes, and a howl resembling a human scream. For the purposes of this episode, I'm keeping it Kentucky since this particular cryptid is said to hang out in the LBL as well as Daniel Boone National Forest. It's generally referred to as Dogman, but Kentucky storytellers often use Kentucky Dogman to localize the legend. Western Kentucky variants of the name include Beast of LBL and Forest Wolfman, tying it to specific sites. Dogman sightings cluster in areas that share these features: dense, mature forests with minimal human traffic, riparian corridors, river islands, and floodplain woods, abandoned logging roads, old mines, and remote hollows, liminal zones where 2 ecosystems meet, such as riverbanks between woods and fields. In Kentucky, the LBL and Daniel Boone National Forest provide the perfect mix of isolation and cover. Another prominent feature in areas where dogman is spotted is old cemeteries. This has given rise to the idea that the dogman is a sentinel, watching over long-forgotten graves and keeping vandals away from sacred grounds. Kind of love.
Yeah, I like that one.
There have been a few notable encounters in Kentucky. The first one in Keaton County, a lone hiker on the Licking River Greenway snapped photos of a canine-headed figure crossing a ravine before it vanished into dense woods. The second one in Knott County, which happened on August 11th of 2020, and this one's kind of sad. Deputies blamed a 12-year-old boy's fatal attack near an abandoned mine on wild dogs, but locals cite the wound patterns as dogman related.
Oh.
Yes. In 2023 in Rowan County, a couple camping near Eagle Lake and Cave Run Lake felt stalked by heavy bipedal footfalls and glimpsed a dog-headed silhouette among the trees. In October of 2019 in Madison County, farm livestock were found skinned with 12-inch paw-like tracks. Families reported howls and sightings of a 7-foot furred biped. The fifth one in Jefferson County on March 2nd, 2021, 2 night shift security guards recorded infrared footage of a lanky canine-headed creature trotting across an industrial lot. Sudden electrical interference, such as car radios cutting out, has also been linked to dogman sightings. I think that happens with a lot of cryptid and paranormal encounters.
And I wonder if it's a drawing energy type of situation.
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of ghost stories, they draw the batteries down to be able to do things and make sounds.
Yes.
Whatever. And I kind of wonder if that's the cryptid version of that.
So when I'm researching eyewitness accounts, I like to include names whenever possible. I wasn't able to find the names on those particular accounts, but searching for them helped me find a horrifying story of a murder that was blamed on the dogman.
Oh.
The article is on werewolves.com, but it's short, and I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
This was written by the evil cheese man himself, Wade Miller. The beasts of the land between the lakes. First the story, then the facts. Sometime in the late 1970s or early 80s, the Young family was wiped out in an attack by the beast, a dogman or werewolf. The family visiting from Florida was found torn to pieces in their RV. The names of the parents aren't recorded, but they had 2 children, Bradley and Megan. Megan wasn't with the rest of her family in the RV, though, as her remains had been hauled up into a tree. Yes. A police deputy named Philip Douglas and a state trooper named William Folkson discovered the bodies. That's the story. What's the quote from the man who shot Liberty Valance? When the legend becomes fact, print the legend. It goes on to say, here's some documentation I was able to find concerning the beast. This comes from U.S. Forest Service Public Affairs Specialist Carlin Lewis. We have no evidence, records, documentations of any validated sightings of the beast. Some of our staff have worked on land between the lakes for many years. A lot of them know every nook and cranny. They've never seen anything that would point back to a beast existing. Seems conclusive. Then the article asks, so what do you think? Were there killings that were covered up, or is it all boulder dash? What do you think?
I don't know. That sounds like a cover-up to me, except for the tree situation.
Yeah. And how do you, like, does that seem to you like something this dogman creature would do?
Well, I don't know, because if you think on the one hand, he's protecting the cemetery and all that, and then on the other hand, he's killing and dragging people up trees. So that sounds like two very, very different things to me.
Yes, I think so as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's the same.
Okay. I agree. Of course, I had to go to the comment section and read responses, and this was the first one, and I had to stop reading shortly after this because I was about to tumble down a rabbit hole. Posted by Susie Elder, May 6, 2022 at 10:27 a.m. I have watched videos on YouTube about this story, and nobody can get the actual family's names right or where they lived. My husband's family, the Elders, and I think it's Jolies, lives in Mayfield and the Fancy Farm area. They love to talk about the scary werewolf stories, but they say, truth be told, the family was killed by the crazy father, and the animals tore the bodies apart after they were dead. No girl was found in any tree, but this is Kentucky, and you know how people love to talk and tell big whoppers. Do you see I was about to tumble down a rabbit hole?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Another thing I wanted to mention, I watched a video on YouTube called Hunting the Dogman, Guardian of the Graves by Sozo Bear Films. It was filmed in Ellijay, Georgia. One of the people in the video mentioned something along the lines of how often in history there are stories about black dogs and mentioned Anubis, and I had never thought of that.
I read something not too long, like within the last year or two, and it was the same thing. And I'm like, that hadn't occurred to me either.
Yeah.
Now
it's starting to make sense.
I mean, yeah.
So if you aren't familiar with ancient Egypt, Anubis was the jackal-headed god of mummification, funerary rites, and the afterlife. He's also known as the patron of lost souls and the guardian of tombs. The reason he's depicted as a dog is because ancient Egyptians associated dogs with cemeteries, where they were seen scavenging and digging up shallow graves. They invoked a dog-headed deity to gain control over the scavengers, thereby becoming a protector of the dead. For my missing moment, this was a request that came again from Shrek and Fiona. Jacob and Joni is just very weird for me to call them their actual names. But when I asked if there were any unsolved cases in Kentucky for me to look into for the podcast, Shrek almost immediately, before I even got the words out of my mouth, said Heather Teague.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I had to do my best to stick with just the reported facts on this one. It's so much. Let me read it, and then when I get to the part, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Tim Walthall was observing Newburgh Beach through his telescope on August 26, 1995, when he witnessed what he believed to be Heather Teague's abduction. He immediately called Kentucky State Police to report a woman being dragged into the woods, noting that her belongings remained on the sand. He told investigators that around 12:45 p.m., a tall, slender man approached Heather as she lay sunbathing. The suspect was shirtless, wearing jeans, was described as having brown hair and a bushy beard. Walthall saw the man grab Heather, reportedly by the hair, and drag her into the nearby woods at gunpoint. So after his first call, he placed a second call with a conflicting description, stating the man wore a brown wig and mosquito netting over his head. This inconsistency became a notable point in the investigation. Driven by alarm, he later recruited community members to comb the woods, but their search yielded no further trace of Heather. A farmer who lived on the land adjacent to the stretch of Newburgh Beach in the Spottsville area was videotaping crop vandalism and captured peripheral footage of Heather's car in a red Ford Bronco, but didn't witness the abduction. 5 days after Heather's disappearance, a man named Marty Dill was officially targeted as the prime suspect. This was due to eyewitness resemblance. The composite sketch of the abductor matched Dill's known past look, wild hair and a bushy beard, closely mirroring Tim Walthall's description of the man who dragged Heather into the woods. Vehicle match. Dill owned a red Ford Bronco identical to the one caught on the farmer's videotape near Heather's car the day she vanished, and multiple tips. Investigators received several independent tips and witness statements identifying Dill as the person seen abducting Heather. I thought there was just the one eyewitness, so I'm confused about that too.
Yeah, very.
Source of sketch: Kentucky State Police reportedly based the abductor's composite on Dill's driver's license photo, reinforcing focus on him despite family claims that he was bald and clean-shaven that day. And that's not to say you can't shave your beard and your head after you do something. It has been done before.
That's what I was going to say. That's not even uncommon, but it's still range of description for me.
Yeah. In the early hours of September 1st, 1995, Kentucky State Police and the FBI converged on Marty Dill's remote Poole, Kentucky trailer to question him about Heather Teague's disappearance. Officers announced their presence and requested entry for a voluntary interview. Now, I want to note right here that somewhere I read that this was at 1 a.m.
Oh.
Yeah, because another date I found was the day before, and then it says in the early hours of September 1st. So
right, that makes sense.
Inside the trailer were Dill, his wife, and his uncle Ernest Green, a former law enforcement officer with the Henderson County Sheriff's Office. Upon realizing the situation, Dill instructed his wife and uncle to leave, saying, "The less you know, the better." Moments later, Dill used a shotgun to take his own life, preventing any formal questioning or confession. There was a search of Dill's property. After Dill's death, investigators executed search warrants across his 28-acre property. They canvassed woods and stream beds with cadaver dogs, but no human remains were found. They recovered shotgun shells matching the weapon used in Dill's suicide. They seized personal journals, maps, and farm records for clues about his movements in August of 1995. They collected soil and vegetation samples from areas where a body might have been concealed. I know. It's not a laughing matter, but you are doing the same thing I was doing as I was reading this and writing this. Dill's suicide and the subsequent search left critical gaps and fueled ongoing debate. Without a suspect interview, no direct link between Dill and Heather's disappearance could be established. Sarah Teague, Heather's mother, and God's Army for Heather pressed for transparency, alleging possible evidence suppression.
Right.
More on Sarah in a bit. Local media spotlighted Dill's uncle's law enforcement background, prompting questions about potential conflicts of interest. The case stalled for years until renewed DNA testing and courtroom battles revived public attention. Well, let's discuss this for a minute.
Right.
Heather was abducted on August 26, 1995. On August 25th, 2025, so like a month ago, the body of Marvin Ray Marty Dill was exhumed nearly 30 years after Heather Teague's disappearance from Fairmont Cemetery in Henderson County, Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. The exhumation was led by Kentucky State Police with personnel from the KSP Crime Lab and Henderson County Coroner's Office on site to collect fresh DNA samples from Dill's remains for comparison against material recovered from Heather's swimsuit bottoms. What she was wearing that day was recovered. I thought it was a red and white bathing suit. I might be wrong on the color, but she was wearing a bathing suit.
Right.
A bikini, to be specific. Investigators are seeking to definitively include or exclude Dill by matching his DNA to trace evidence found on Teague's bathing suit during renewed forensic testing. This step follows advanced analysis performed in 2025 on evidence previously sent to Bode Technology in Virginia. Trooper Corey King has stated the turnaround time is uncertain. Sarah Teague was not notified ahead of time. She first learned of the exhumation when a relative of the cemetery's gravedigger messaged her on Facebook. This lack of communication deepened her long-standing distrust of law enforcement handling of the case.
imagine. Oh.
Yeah, I just feel like she should be notified anytime there's anything.
Anything, no matter how big or small.
Yes.
Wow.
Talk about some other suspects. An unidentified man behind KG's General Store. In September of 2025, a dig behind KG's General Store in Reed, Kentucky uncovered animal bones, duct tape, red carpet fibers matching Dill's Bronco upholstery. Though no human remains were found, Sarah Teague believes tips from 2000 and 2023 suggest someone else may have buried Heather's remains there, possibly someone connected to Dill or acting independently. We're going to talk some more about that in a little bit, too. An unidentified boater or riverbank witness. Heather was abducted in broad daylight from a public beach. Only one witness, Tim Walthall, reported the event, but no other beachgoers or boaters were ever identified. It's possible someone else saw or participated in the abduction, but never came forward.
Yeah, entirely possible.
Yes. The boyfriend. At the time of her disappearance, Heather had a boyfriend, Robin Lewis. Law enforcement never treated him as a suspect, as they were focused on the lone eyewitness description and leads pointing toward Marty Dill, and no official records or media reports list Lewis as a person of interest. I have to stop here. I contacted Sarah Teague, Heather's mother, through Facebook. I wanted to let her know that I'd be covering the case, and I'll be honest, this was the first time I've ever reached out to someone in such a way, and I was worried about how it was going to be received. I'd hoped she would respond, but I certainly didn't expect it to happen immediately. It did. I would like to read to you the exchange we had today. I'm writing this on September 20th, 25, and should be recording the episode on September 23rd, and we are, provided there are no technical difficulties. Bambi should be releasing this on September 28th. Just giving you all a timeline. I said to her, "Hello, Sarah. I learned of your daughter, Heather, when I was visiting friends recently in Kentucky and asked them about cases they'd like me to cover as part of a podcast episode. I wanted to let you know that I have finished my notes and have written them in a manner that states the facts as they have been reported and is respectful to Heather. The podcast is new and without sponsors, so there is no monetary gain from the episode. The hope is simply to get the word out to our few listeners about your daughter's case. I hope the recent DNA comparison results come back soon and provide definitive answers. Respectfully, Amy, co-host Macabre.Musings.Podcast." And she responded within minutes. "Please contact me before you put it out there to make sure it's right. Robin Lewis's DNA was taken July 7th. He died 2 days ago."
Oh, wow.
I responded, "Certainly. It's very short. As we do the episodes in the segments, I'd be happy to email you my notes. I'd also be happy to add anything you like." And then I asked for her email. She gave me her email. She gave me her phone number. I let her know that I emailed the notes and where they would be coming from. She sent me back her latest post at that specific time, which was where she had to draw up her own search warrant for the Dill property.
Oh.
She asked me after reading the notes, "If you can say one thing, make one point clear. My daughters," she has other daughters, "should not have had to dig through a well, finding bones, sending me pictures, all of us hoping we had found Heather." So her daughters were there on site digging in a well, picking up bones, trying to figure out whether or not these are animal bones or is this their sister, and sending Sarah pictures along the way. The reason? KSP did not follow up on the lead they had in 2000, nor 2 years ago. I asked them in July to please get to the bottom of this one lead, one of the most horrible stories, asking them to grant immunity. Heather's head was allegedly in one area and the rest of her in the well in Reed, Kentucky. No mother should have to file ORR and appeals, FOIA and appeals, 2 lawsuits, 11 months of paperwork submitted to DCI per Ramsey Dallum, I believe, special prosecutor, for this mother to not have heard one word from DCI. I have fought long and hard for 30 years, 25 days today, the day that we had this exchange, begging them to do their job. And my daughters had to hold bones they thought belonged to their sister. This is a shame and a disgrace to all we hold precious in this life. It is wrong.
Oh my God, that is horrifying. Wow.
I know. Sarah continues to seek answers to her daughter's disappearance. You can follow her on Facebook. Please follow her on Facebook. She posts quite often pretty detailed information as to what she has requested and what she is being told. Like, it's like she hides nothing. If you want to know about this case, I can assure you Sarah has it on her Facebook page. And what a page. You can also follow a page called Where is Heather Teague? Enough is Enough. I feel like I could go on and on about this case. Sarah deserves answers and Heather deserves justice. It's a lot. And there's just, what's your big question?
One of the things that stuck with me was when you were talking about the uncle.
Mm-hmm.
That really stuck out to me, especially in the current things with the DNA being done and her not being notified and all of that. That's kind of where my head stuck.
My head immediately got stuck on, why did the one eyewitness call and change the story?
Well, yeah, that was my first one.
I didn't mention any of that to Sarah whenever I talked to her. Or, well, I didn't talk to her, but we exchanged messages. She read these notes because I didn't want anything in there that was wrong. Okay. And she asked me to say what I said. And then it was a few days later, she had posted something about that eyewitness.
Oh, okay.
So my big thing has been through this whole thing. And even as I started in on it and I got to the part about the one eyewitness, and then that he called and changed his description.
Yeah.
And it was the wig and the net. And I read that to Zane. And he went, huh. And sort of had the same thought I had. Like, why wasn't he investigated further?
That's what I was just going to
say.
That would have been my first thought.
Yes. So yesterday, I want you to go read Sarah's post from yesterday. It's sort of long, so I don't want to read it, but she is also questioning that.
Okay. I'm sure.
And apparently there's some other stuff. So, of course, she's going to know a lot more information than is ever going to be actually put out. But read that post.
Okay.
Whenever you get an opportunity. All of you. Go read that post. Sarah Teague. Teague. And it's Sarah with an H.
I did link that post. Where is Heather Teague? Enough is Enough. Facebook.
Mm-hmm. She may have put that post where it can be shared as well. I think most of her stuff you can share.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'll see if I can link it that way or share it out for everybody. I will do it separate from our show notes just because it's going to get lost in the show notes.
I want to keep up with this case, and when there are updates and things, I'd like to just throw that into episodes. Hey, here's a new update on Heather. I told her mom that I would keep up with it.
Yeah, definitely. We have current things happening with it, which is great.
Yes.
That's something, but that it's taking that long and she's just kind of having to find these things out on her own is absolutely ridiculous. That's sad.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me angry for them. But yeah, we'll update. So anybody that wants to keep up, definitely try to follow her so that you can keep up with things. And like I said, I posted the other Facebook page, the Where is Heather Teague? Enough is Enough page. I did link that the other day. There's a petition also connected to that. I also signed it and posted it as well. It would be good to keep up with that and hopefully have answers,
Yes.
Unfortunately, that is all we've got for that for now. Unless there's anything else you would like to discuss.
No, I think I could go on about this.
Oh, absolutely. All right, y'all. I think that is all we have for you this time. If you got your own macabre musings, questions, or lore you're dying to hear, find us on Facebook or drop us a line at Macabre.Musings.Podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you hanging out around the fire with us tonight.
Pull up a chair next time as we dive into more dark, creepy lore and maybe tumble down a rabbit hole or two. Until then, keep your lanterns low and your curiosities high.
And we will see y'all later.